Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So one of my pet peeves in business, in relationships, and in general, is when I ask a direct question or when I'm being direct with somebody and they're sidestepping, they're being indirect in return with me, they can't simply answer a simple question. Many times, all I need is a yes or a no, say for example in business, and when somebody can't even give me a simple yes or a no, red flag. I know that there's something going on here. This never used to bother me when I was younger, but as I've been self-employed and had to make important decisions and have to make deals and have to really be clear about money, it's been very important to me in the level of communication that I have to get down to the details and to hammer them out and to make sure that both parties understand what's going on, what's being paid for, what's being expected, so there's no confusion on the back end. If I build a bike for somebody, we can't be vague about what needs to be done and how much money it's going to cost. There has to be specifics. If, in my personal experience, without specific details, it's just a recipe for disaster. And being self-employed now for 30 years, I have grown more and more direct with my relationships. So when I ask somebody that I'm friends with, or a family member, or a lover, a simple question, I do expect a simple answer. When somebody sidesteps me, I'm usually just confused. It leads to confusion. It leads to a misunderstanding. It leads to expectations that you may have that won't be met, and then that can lead to a greater argument, and it all just boils down to a miscommunication or somebody that wasn't really interested in having the conversation. Now, how to deal with this type of behavior is simple. In business, if I can't get a direct answer, I walk away. There's plenty of other people out there that I can do business with. We don't need to have a relationship. I don't need to fuck with you. You're done. That's it. Now that's pretty hard-nosed. And you can't always be that way with your loved ones or your family members. With a loved one, when they refuse to answer a simple question and they're sidestepping you, beating around the bush, it could be just simply like, where are you going? And they're like, I got something to do. They may be going to buy, some cigarettes or something, but they want to sound mysterious. And you can't get a simple answer. There's always deeper lying issues there. And you have to ask yourself, is this question really important? Do I really need to know? Do I really care? Is this answer going to change my life in any way, or a no answer going to change my life in any way? Or am I just simply being nosy or controlling? So there's two parts to it, and you don't want to be controlling over people. You're not trying to be a control freak or the master of others. People don't always need to, say, for example, need to tell you where they're going, but any kind of communication goes back and forth. If you're about your business like I am, when I ask a simple question, a harmless question, it's different if I'm being nosy and I'm asking you what your greatest fear is, and you don't want to talk about that right now. If it's just simple, basic questions and somebody can't give you a direct answer, you just have to back off. You can't force somebody. You can't hold them down and shake them until they answer. Because what are you going to do? There's no way to control people like that. They're not robots. You can't bully them, muscle them. Maybe in prison you can beat them up until they do what you want them to do. But in normal life, you can't really treat people that way. So I choose, in relationships with loved ones, if I'm asking a simple question and I'm not getting the answer, you can redirect the question in a different way to kind of block their misdirection. So maybe you didn't ask the question properly. If you're, say, for example, if you are talking about your greatest fears with your loved one, and they don't want to talk about it, but you want to get down to what lies at the root of this person's psyche, of their mindset, of what's driving them. And talking about deep issues with loved ones is normal and is a good thing. showing some weakness sometimes yourself can entice others to show their weakness. So I'm typically willing to let my life be on my sleeve, to tell people what my greatest fears, my greatest hopes, stuff that makes me cry, makes me angry. I'll talk about that. And when they see that I'm able to talk about what, affects me, even a weak person, a fragile person, can feel comfortable enough to opening up to where you're not going to judge them, you're not going to come down on them, you're not going to get angry at them, that this is just simply two people opening up to each other. So that's one way that you can redirect the conversation, by re-asking the question in a different way, or adding information to, get background in the topic. But again, sometimes it's best to just ask yourself, do I really care? And if you're dealing with somebody, say for example in a love relationship, and they just refuse to open up, and you've tried and tried and tried, and you've opened up, and they just refuse to, there's definitely something else going on there. It could be manipulative, it could be deceitful, let's hope not, but it also could just be a flaw in their upbringing, where their parents treated them a certain way and they're broken. They're nature versus nurture, they are broken, and you cannot fix that. They're going to need therapy. They're going to need to dive into themselves and to fix themselves. And you have to question, do I really want to be in a relationship with somebody who's this distant, this mysterious, this vague? With friendships, very often the case, when somebody is sidestepping a question or not answering, it's typically narcissism, that you may be dealing with a narcissist. And now under the category of narcissism, I'm not going to go through all of it because I don't have it memorized, I don't have notes, but there's several subcategories. They could be trying to be intentionally mysterious, and I've had friends that have done that, where, I was asking a guy, he's living out in the desert, and I was asking him where the closest town was, and he kept telling me there is no town. There's a town somewhere. I don't care if it's 1,000 miles or 10,000 miles or 100,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles, 10 million miles, 100,000 light years. There's a town somewhere, motherfucker. Which town is it? There is no town. He kept saying that, there's no town. Eventually I realized, okay, this is a passive-aggressive response by somebody who's just a narcissist trying to be mysterious. Kind of like the person when you ask them where you're going and they want, I'm just doing some business. Turns out they're just going to buy some cigarettes. Dumb motherfucker. They're just trying to be slick, just trying to act like they're more than they're not. Typical, classic case of a narcissist. Doesn't mean you hang those people or put them out to dry. I mean, you can walk away from friends like that, but you know how to deal with them in the future, that it's not worth pressing. Those types of people maybe you want to keep at an arm's length rather than bring them into your inner circle. Because true friends are open. True friends don't hide anything. True friends don't have hang-ups like that with each other. They trust each other. Some people have a lack of trust with everyone. True narcissists can't trust anybody. They only trust themselves. Those types of people, you're really going to want to question whether you want them in your life or not. It's just up to you of who you want to surround yourself with. I learned in the streets, when I used to run in the streets as a hustler and a criminal, dealing with other gang members, gangsters, thugs, real dangerous people. People that'll rob you, that'll rip you off. That if you can't get a direct answer out of somebody, whether it's in a deal or just in a conversation on a street corner, doesn't matter. If you can't get direct answers out of somebody, and they're not being direct with you, they're not looking you in the eye, they're not answering your questions in a normal way, they're answering it in nonsense. Fuck that motherfucker. Fuck away from me. I walk right away from them. They instantly become my enemy. Fuck them. Now, you can't always be that way with your buddies, because you want to be sociable. People do have limits. Even with good, close friends, they have topics they don't want to talk about. One of the aspects of a true narcissist is that they will always try to portray themselves as being strong and capable and without any sort of flaws at all. And if anything comes into their little bubble that might appear to, to the world that they're weaker than they're trying to portray, they'll start gaslighting people around them. They'll become angry. They'll lash out. They'll deflect in any way they can to make it seem like the image that they've created is true. Everybody has flaws. Everybody has weaknesses. Everybody has hang-ups and issues. Every person, all of humanity, every person. You'll never meet a perfect person. It doesn't exist. So when someone's trying to portray themselves as holier than thou, greater than everything, king-like, God-like, you know what I'm talking about. You have to just ask yourself, is this really somebody that I can relate with on a personal level? Am I going to be able to bring them into my inner circle or not? Probably not. They might just be an acquaintance. The number one advice that I can give in any scenario with people that don't want to answer your questions directly, they're playing politician on you. You ever watch the news and you see these politicians get asked questions and they will never say just yes. And then that's the answer. No, they'll never say that. They're like, well, they want to say, well, this is the true question. And they'll try to redirect with another question. They'll try to dodge any way they can, sound vague and confusing. You just walk away. Whether it's for good, some cases it's for good. In business, I'm done with you. If we're business to business and I'm trying to make a deal and you can't give me a direct answer on a direct question, done. If you're an employee of mine and you can't answer a direct question that I asked you, you can get the fuck out. You'll see your check in the mail. Don't come back. I'm done with you. I play hardball like that. I don't fuck around. I'm the boss, and if I ask you a question, you fucking answer it, period. End of story. Period. With friends, I'll still walk away. But that doesn't mean I'm crossing them out as friends. It just depends on how much of a narcissist or how much of a weirdo they are. Sometimes people are being deceitful for a reason because they're hiding stuff. And, I've been creeped out by friends before where I'm just like, I think I touched a nerve and exposed an aspect of this person that I don't even want to know about. So I'm going to take a major step back. And that's happened to me before when I've realized that people that I thought were friends had like a weird secret lives behind closed doors that I didn't want to know nothing about. Stop right there. I don't know what kind of weird shit you're into. I'll see you on the flip side, see you around, give you a nod and a fist bump, and that'll be it, if that. You just have to make those decisions for yourself depending on the scenario. And with lovers, if you're married to somebody and they don't communicate in the way that you communicate, it's going to be a constant give and take instead of being a tug-of-war battle. Don't make it a power struggle. You don't have to dominate somebody. You don't have to set rules for somebody. You're trying to have, a mutual attraction based on love and respect and all that. So you're just going to have to be able to take a step back when you hit those walls and they are deflecting questions, not answering direct. You realize, okay, there's something more here. And again, it's up to you if there's something deceitful or manipulative going on, whatever, they're cheating on you or whatever. Hey, walk away, have some self-respect. But if it's just simple, get to know you type stuff, because even if you've been dating somebody or married to somebody for, say, 10, 12 years, 15, 20 years, you still may bump into areas where they just don't want to talk much about. And you'll just have to accept that there's certain aspects of this person that I don't know everything about. And that's okay. But as a general rule, for me, it's a major pet peeve when I can't get a direct answer from a direct question. It bothers the shit out of me. And there's a few ways that you can handle it. Thanks for watching.